You know, there is a shocking lack of information on how to take care of having a fistula, which of course I didn't find out until I discovered I had a fistula and I needed to learn how to take care of it. It took me hours and hours of scouring the internet and scouring fistula forums and wading through horror stories just to find information on how to make sure that I was cleaned up properly and make sure that the drainage was as contained as I could get it. So I figured, why not make a video, and hopefully somebody will see it who could use some help on some tips and tricks that at least I found that this will work differently for different people. Maybe this will help somebody. So the first thing that I would recommend that worked for me would be to have some sort of small go bag. It should be big enough that it fits into a backpack or a purse or something that you can carry more easily. Sorry, it should be small enough that it can fit into a backpack or a purse, but big enough that it can accommodate all of the items that you need. I would highly recommend baby wipes, so that if you happen to be at work or somewhere where you don't have access to a shower or your sitz bath, if you happen to be using sitz baths, you can clean up easily with these. I also have, I don't want to blind anybody, a mirror. So that was really helpful to see the area and see if there was any drainage happening and make sure that the area was clean. I used coconut oil. Obviously, I didn't use this giant jar of it in my go bag. I had a small little plastic container. You can use any sort of plastic container that I would take coconut oil out of the big jar and put it into the small jar. And I would use that in my anal area to act as a barrier cream between any stool or any pus and my skin, because those things are really irritating. They can cause welts, they can cause rashes, it can lead to an infection. So I would use that as a barrier cream, and also it's great to soothe the area. Coconut oil is antibacterial, so that's good for keeping bacterial growth inhibited as much as you can. And also it's good for inflammation. It's an anti-inflammatory, so that really helped. Really helped with the itching and the irritation and the burning. I had Q-tips to make sure that I could really get into the area and clean. I had panty liners, which are good in case there's anything that needs to be caught in your underwear, so that's not going to get on your actual underwear or on your pants or skirt, whatever you happen to be wearing. For a long time, I used, when my fistula was draining a lot of pus, I used these little cotton rounds, and they look like those makeup pads you use. And I wanted to use organic products as much as possible and all natural products as much as possible, but I think any sort of cotton rounds could do. You could go to the dollar store, for example, and get some cotton rounds. They're really great at catching any drainage. And then when I came to India and started talking to Dr. Bapat, he said that you don't really need to have fancy cotton rounds. You can just use cotton. And he's right. These actually turn out to be much more comfortable. And did you know that with cotton balls, you can actually just unroll them? So you can unroll any cotton balls and take off pieces to stick in whichever areas you need to stick into, wedge them up next to the fistula and catch drainage, and they kind of conform to your body. So it's actually quite comfortable. And then when it's time to switch them out, you just kind of wrap them up in toilet paper when you're in the washroom and throw them in the trash, and then put a new one in. And most cotton balls, unless the package happens to be open or you've had them rolling around somewhere, they're also sterile. So that's a good idea for helping keep the area clean, as disinfected as possible, and to help you be comfortable throughout the day. One of the issues I think I touched on in one of my previous videos is that if you're North American and you're out doing your thing, living your life, for example, if you're at the movie theater or wherever, it's very difficult to find a washroom that has access to water in the washroom. Usually we just have stalls and a toilet, and that's it. If you're living with a fistula, you know that you absolutely need water to clean the area. So if you happen to find yourself in the uncomfortable situation of needing to clean up, and you're in a washroom that does not have access to a sink, a portable bidet is a must. You can get these off of Amazon. You just fill it up with water. And then when it comes time to use it, my bidet, I mean, you can have different sorts of bidets, but this bidet, you kind of put your finger over this hole and it creates pressure so that the water squirts out of the area. It's a nice little angle so it can get up into the area you need it to get up into and clean. And so all of these things were just packed into my small go bag. I had one for work and one for that just lived with me at work, and one that I took with me wherever I went if I was out and about doing my regular thing in life. And that's what was in it. And these items have absolutely been a lifesaver for me for the past 8 months of having to deal with my fistula. Lots of people have different ideas of what works for them. Some people, for example, might have a fistula on their bum cheek, and so maybe they can't take a cotton ball and tuck it into the area. So what they have recommended would be to get some tape. I think they used, I'm not quite sure which type of tape, but tape that would be durable enough to stay on the area but wouldn't necessarily hurt when it was pulled away. So they would take that and put that around a cotton round or a cotton circular thing. What are these things called? One of these cotton circular things. And then tape that over the area to catch any blood or pus or stool that's draining out. So hopefully that helps somebody. I'm sure if you are watching this video, it's because you need some help, some tips and tricks, and trial and error is great. So whatever works for you will probably vary from what I have talked about, but maybe some of these things will work.